Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes,
How are you? How you doing?
I am doing great. Um, for the Women Who Rock with Success show, we have Mr. Robert E. Reed as our guest today. So let's get started with the broadcast. So tell the listeners a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here. And a little bit about myself. I grew up in Texas. I'm not there now. I'm in Houston, but I grew up all my life in Texas. And this whole entrepreneurial bug kind of hit me pretty early. I remember I did everything to try to make a little bit of extra money. Whether I at the time sold newspapers. That's when that was still a thing. When I was young, and to getting little side jobs, anything that I can do. I mean, if I can cut lawns, anything like that. So that entrepreneur bug hit me pretty early. Pretty early on. Then I had a lot of other small ventures and things like that going into my young adulthood. And then I think when I had my first big, I guess I could call it a big break, was probably when I was about 19. I had got a contract with Sears. And so from there, I mean, it was just all about, trying to be an entrepreneur. Although, I worked in other jobs too, in retail and things like that. But it was all about just being an entrepreneur for me. So that's just part of who I am, actually.
Okay, that's great. Starting with entrepreneurship, sometimes it has to be an idea or, I guess, something that changes in an individual's life to cause them to want to be able to excel a little bit higher. So tell us what caused you or compelled you to launch this book as an author.
Well, I think as far as, lighting a fire, as far as, getting entrepreneurs, I was working in retail, I was in management, and we had a meeting. We had a little meeting, and the, I guess, regional manager at the time was, just trying to, ask for different ideas. Well, not ask for ideas, but just telling us, the other managers in the room, telling us a few things that need to be done. And so a couple of us, would chime in and, make suggestions and things like that. And then that particular regional manager said, hey, you know what, we don't, pay you guys to think, we just need you to do. And from there, that was it. I was like, you know what, no, I'm going to, I worked there a little longer, but then I was like, you know what, I got to do, my own thing. Because, if I want to put some creativity and it's not allowed, when it's stifled and it stifles your creativity, is very, very frustrating for the entrepreneur. And as far as the book is concerned, to answer your question, that really starts with my partners, which is Ed Davis, and then we have another partner, Jackie Terrell, who helped with the book, put the book together. And what happened with that is that I've known my partner, Ed Davis, since sixth grade, to tell the truth. And so we known each other through middle school, went to high school, and then we kind of went separate ways because we went to do two different high schools. And so life happens, you grow up, you have kids, you do things like that. And then we met again by none other than, Facebook. And so when we got back together and started to, communicate, we discovered we did a lot of the same things. We traveled to a lot of the same places. We read a lot of the same books. We've even went to some similar seminars and things like that. And so we said, man, you know what? We really got to get a project together. We got to do something together. So we're trying to think of something that we can collaborate on. And, we came up with a book. And then I just came with the idea, C4, and it really just comes down to those four components, comes down to character and so I'm sorry, character and conviction, contribution. So it comes down to those four components, and we just kind of, it just took off like a fire after that.
So basically, you both were compatible in many ways, which kind of caused you all to become more cohesive in this entrepreneurial relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So far, I have not been that, I guess, successful on the entrepreneur, path of having someone that compatible. So that's awesome to be able to have the author and the co-author have the same, I guess, niches for business.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the writing team a little bit?
You know what? That I can. I'm excited. Let me start with our what Ed and I affectionately call our Impact Princess, because our company together is called Personal Impact. And Jackie Terrell, she's just one of those people who has a lot of energy. And I think one of the biggest things about her, and I met her through Ed, but one of the biggest things about her is she really keeps Ed and I focused. She's really good at that. She's really good at keeping us organized, and we stay on task. We get our agenda done, and we really push forward, and we really start to make a lot of headway when we have her on the team. So that was a huge add to that to the team, to the three of us. And as far as Ed Davis, man, what can I say about the guy? The guy. He's pretty incredible. He's a brilliant guy. He's going for his. He already has a master, and he's going for his doctorate. He recently told me that he was signing up for a doctorate program. So I'm excited about that. And he's just creative. Very creative, very witty. And again, I think what works is that chemistry, that we kind of inspire each other. We look towards each other and we inspire each other, and all three of us, we try to bring the best out of each other.
Okay, perfect. And so, how did you and your partners come up with the C4 concept? So tell the listeners a little bit about the C4 concept as to what it contains and what would you expect a reader to retrieve from it.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you asked. We came up with I'm kind of into little mnemonics and stuff. The 4 C's of this and the 3 B's of that and things like that. I'm kind of I use those devices, just for memory purposes. And so I came up with it, and Ed thought it was kind of neat. We went back and forth on a couple of titles, but this one kept coming back around. We both said, you know what? Yeah, it's got to be C4, and then I just came with the subtitle, An Explosive Way to Live a Dynamic Life. So the book is, not about, get rich quick or anything like that. It's really about, transforming, your life, starting with you, starting with, your character. I always say, that our life comes from us, rather than happening to us, meaning we can create that. We can create our experiences if we are deliberate and intentional about it. And so some of the things I would love for the readers to take away from it is that if they take these 4 components, and then start to apply and start to look at some of the mundane things in a new dynamic way, I think that they could really, really transform their lives. I mean, for example, if they look at one of the things we have in the book is how we look at time. Something as simple as time. And I believe I think it was a speaker was talking about it before, and I just put it in the book, and he was talking about how you look at time in your life. And I'll be quick about it. And it's basically, he was just saying, okay, from, say high school all the way up to about 25, you're in as far as if you break up your life, you are in the preseason. Then from 25 to 35, you're in the first quarter of your life, and we're talking about income and earning potential. Then 35 to 45, you're in the second quarter. 45 to 55, you're in the third quarter. 55 to 65, you are in the fourth quarter. And then after that, you're in an overtime. As far as talking about the earning potential in your life. And so I think if we start breaking up our life that way and say, okay, what am I doing right now, and where am I in the game of life, as far as, earning, so if we just, look at something as simple as time, it can really transform the way we perform in our life.
That's interesting because I do agree with that. So I would like to elaborate a little bit on the time management,
Sure.
which I
Sure.
think is very important for entrepreneurs because sometimes we start out in business or the entrepreneur world, the first thing we just have stuff just scattered everywhere. So I think time management is very, very important, as well as setting short-term and long-term goals. So I think these
Agreed.
are some good components that your book do have in order for readers to be able to see the full magnitude of what you're trying to get the readers to see. So that's good.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So how is your book different from other books in the same category? So let me explain a little bit. So take, for instance, if I'm an author, I put tags on my book. And so sometimes it can be difficult for people to find me as an author. So what makes it unique about your book?
Well, I mean, I guess there's a couple things that, make it unique. Now, obviously, it's, kind of a self-help, a self-improvement, personal development type of book. So that's the section that you would find it in, if you went to, Barnes & Noble and so on and so forth. And, of course, it's available, wherever books are sold as well. But I think one of the differences in the book is the practicality. I think it's very, very practical. It doesn't lean and no, it's no shot at any other books because there's a ton of other great books out there. I mean, I read a lot as well. So there's a lot of books over there. But I think I think it's less law of attraction and more law of action. Getting things done. I really think that we're motivated three ways. I think the average person is motivated by the carrot in front of him, the fire behind him or her, or the desire within him or her. And I think the book kind of looks at that and says, okay, how am I motivated? What's going to get me to make a real change in my life? How can I live dynamically? It makes you realize, okay, this is the one life that I have. This is my shot. This is time to start doing something differently right away. So I think the difference is its approach and how practical it is. And then it's also, I think, put in such a way that you can you have action steps. There are some action steps, some things at the end of each chapter that says, okay, that challenges you, that tells you to do this next, or, or consider this or consider that. So I think that's, one of the areas that pretty much sets the book apart from some of the others that, a lot of people would read.
Okay. And so one of our platforms that we mentor to is Girls Who Rock with Success. And so that's one of our affiliates. And so they are based upon young teenagers. Some of them have, I think one of them, they have like a business where it's called Zolly Pops. So what the Zolly Pop does is you lick on the pop and it's a fluoride for your teeth. And so with that being said, in spectrum of your book, how could a young entrepreneur connect with the
I think,
C4?
I still have you? Okay. I think that's perfect. I think the younger generation, I think the book is actually perfect for them, because if I call back to when I was talking about time, many of them, they're still in the first quarter of their earning potential. They're still, 20 to 25 to 30, they're still right there in the first quarter of their earning potential. So the whole world is before them. We're in a new world, new technology, new things, and everything's happening faster. There's more information that can come to them quicker. And the interesting thing is that I had actually I've spoken at the Phoenix Phoenix University, the entrepreneur program. I spoke to
okay.
that very demographic, And then the other thing is my partner Ed. He works with that demographic all the time right now. He has a nonprofit called Recreating Me, where he is working with folks that are like 20, 21, 22. I mean, starting even at 18. Starting at 17, 18 years old, working all the way up 25, 30 years old, and he's doing the same thing. All the principles that are outlined in the book. I mean, we're actually targeting that demographic because they have that their canvas is blank. They can achieve and do so many different things. They're more flexible. They're more malleable. When we get a little bit older, we're not as malleable. It takes like a hammer and chisel to kind of get us to change. But the younger generation, they grab hold to it very easily. So that is like the perfect, that's a perfect sweet spot for us and for the book.
Okay, that's great. So with the many platforms that you have, where can the listeners and the readers find you all's book?
Well, first, I would suggest personalimpact.com, and the impact is without an I, so it's personal, then MPACT.com. It'll be personalimpact.com, and then Amazon as well. I mean, the book is there, Amazon. It's and it's under the title, C4, An Explosive Way to Live a Dynamic Life. And it's there, and I believe it's there about, I think it's $11, $12, so it's very affordable. And it's one that it can be, finished over the weekend, So it's the information that they can absorb and they can get it done. You can get it read over the weekend. Okay.
So back to, I think, something that you had shared earlier in regards to the book. Were you saying that you have like a like a devotional or something like a tool that's inside of the book where they can be able to record notes or tools and resources that they have learned from the book?
Yeah, at the end of each, component, when we write something like, because different components, like I said, it is character, conviction, creation, which has to do with cash flow, and contribution. Okay, and at the end of it, what we have, they're called mistakes and missteps. At the end of each component, you look at any mistakes and missteps from everything that we had written previously. We go ahead and kind of point out some of the mistakes and missteps that people have. And then right after that, it has takeaways, some of the takeaways that we want you to take, want you to absorb from that particular chapter or component. And then after that, there's action steps. And that's after each component. Yeah. So it's very practical in that sense.
Excuse me. Okay. And so I know you had spoke about the University of Phoenix, where Ed has been to share some things with some students. So what other speaking engagements do you all offer?
Well, we can go out to organizations and speak to organizations, whether it be a church, whether it be a nonprofit, especially organizations where there would be entrepreneurs. Works really well for solopreneurs, people who, pretty much just on their own trying to build various streams of income, things like that, pretty much on their own, small business, things like that, because the things that are contained in there are very applicable to what they are doing there. So it can be, what I've already said, churches and nonprofits, schools, schools, that works very well too. So those particular, those areas, those organizations work really well with our program and what we speak about. Okay.
Perfect. So the last question that we have that we always try to share with our audience is, how can they connect with you? Are there any social media platforms that you would like to share from you or Ed that the listeners can be able to engage with you even the more?
Yes. Well, for myself, my website is basically my name. It's robertearlreed.com. And my social platforms are on there too, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, of same name, or I can be emailed, directly, at robert@robertoreed.com if there's any questions or anything like that, or need myself or need Ed or both of us, one or the both of us, or need to connect with, Jackie Terrell. We can be reached at info@personalimpact.com. Mm-hmm. That way that you can reach the team, and so you can connect with any of us from there. But I would probably start at personalimpact.com, and then from there you'll be able to find us.
Oh, perfect. So thank you for being a guest with us on today on the Women Who Rock with Success show. We thank you for taking the opportunity to be with us and to be able to share your expertise as an author as well as an entrepreneur on the Women Who Rock with Success show. Now, we are on Google Play, and so for the listeners, you can be able to go to Google Play and download the Women Who Rock with Success app, and you can be able to get all the tools and resources that you need for business, lifestyle, cooking, healthy living, travel, biotechnology, and more. We are actually on the air as we speak. So perhaps we'll be able to hear from Robert on next week on Google Play. So thank you so much for being a guest with us, and we thank you for taking out the opportunity, and hope you'll be able to come back on the show as a follow-up as a guest.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
All right.